Good afternoon. This is Luana Lewis, Senior Vice President of the Metro New York Better Business Bureau, welcoming you to the webinar on behalf of the Better Business Bureau system. We have a great program today, Protecting Your Enterprise from Frauds and Cybercrime, with Robin Eichen of the FTC. Just a few quick words before we get started. Just want to mention that the Better Business Bureau works frequently with the FTC on scam issues. We often share data with them, and want to encourage everyone to understand that BBB also has an interesting tool called Scam Tracker, where both businesses and consumers can report scams at bbb.org/scam tracker, and we'll put up the URL for that at the end of this presentation. Our sincere thanks go to Robin for speaking with us today. You can post questions in the little question box here at the right-hand side of your screen, and Robin will, at the end of her presentation, answer as many of them as we possibly can. Her phone number and email address are also in this presentation, and you will be able, if you have further questions after today's webinar, to reach out to Robin directly to get your questions answered. Now about our speaker today. Robin Eichen is a senior attorney at the Federal Trade Commission here in the Northeast region, and she has been an attorney there for nearly 27 years, focusing on consumer protection issues. She has won many awards for both her casework as a litigator and for her outreach work. So Robin, I'm going to turn it over to you now. Robin Eichen, everybody.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so happy to be with you today. I just want you to know that the views expressed here today are mine and not necessarily those of the Commission or any commissioners. So what about the FTC? What do? Well, we bring cases in federal court against companies and individuals that defraud small enterprises and consumers. And why do we do that? Well, we want to stop the bad acts, the fraud, and we want to freeze the assets of the businesses and individuals that are defrauding the victims, and so that we can get money back to the victims at the end of the case, which we very often do. We also do consumer education and business education. As we're doing today, we have loads and loads of materials and interactive materials as well, which I will discuss further today. So one such education device is our FTC.gov new small business website. I commend that to you, and I will discuss that further. It's FTC.gov small business. It was just developed this year. So now I'm going to turn to our tech support imposter scams. In May 2017, we announced a group of 16 civil and criminal actions against tech support scammers. These scammers ran ads that looked like pop-up security alerts from recognized companies like Microsoft, Apple, or others. There were pop-ups that showed up right into your internet browser, or looked like a blue error screen, or even looked like trusted antivirus software. But what did they want you to do? They wanted you to call immediately or else. What did they threaten? Well, they threatened that your computer systems were hacked, and some pop-ups even showed the kind of countdown clock which threatened that a small window of time remained before the computer's hard drive or network was destroyed. So here's such a screen that appeared in one of our cases. As it says, to immediately rectify the issue and prevent data loss, call this toll-free number. So what happens if you call the toll-free number? Well, the scammer might ask you to give remote access to your computer so they can run diagnostic tests. Oh, sure. And they may tell you they found a virus or other issue. But Then they'll pressure the targets into paying hundreds of dollars for services, sometimes thousands, for services ranging from worthless to malicious. And those are services that you can usually get for free, or things you have. Often they're just trying to fix a problem that doesn't exist. Or if you give access to your computer, they'll install malware. I'm happy to say, though, that the FTC got preliminary injunctions against all the defendants in the FTC cases in this announcement. So here's a chart on how to spot a tech support scam. As you can see, it starts with a pop-up. It might imitate a blue screen, or it might imitate a trusted antivirus software. What they want, call a toll-free number immediately and threaten the loss of personal data if you don't call. And here's another chart, FTC chart. It shows what happens after you call the toll-free number. They'll ask for remote access, as I said, pretend to run diagnostic tests. They'll claim to have found the virus, and they'll want to sell you some kind of repair or security subscription. But again, the services they offer are worthless, not needed, or something you can get for free. And if you give access to your computer, you threaten to get malware on your computer, which can cause harm to your computer. So here's a page from the FTC's website, ftc.gov, tech support scams, which tell you what you can do. And here's what you can do. If you get a pop-up call or spam email or other urgent message, they're always urgent because they don't want you to think or talk to anybody. But please stop and don't click on any links or call a phone number. And please don't send money. But of all things, don't give anyone control of your computer, because you can have disastrous consequences. Instead, please report it to ftc.gov complaint and indicate the phone number you were asked to call. It's important that you always keep your security software up to date and be able to recognize when something looks wrong, and share the information on all the scams that we talk about today with your other colleagues and other businesses. So here's another recent cyber threat, which is the fake email scam. Here, the scammers send emails which look like some business you're dealing with, say a real estate professional. They then tell you, and falsely tell you, that you need to change the account where you're wiring funds. Of course, you know what will happen. If you wire those funds to their account, they'll take the money and run. This type of scam also may involve an email with an invoice, which supposedly comes from your utility company. We've seen a lot of fake utility cost scams. Here, they'll tell you to wire payment, but what happens to your payment? It's gone. You'll never see it again. So, you may ask, how do the scammers get this information? Well, they'll hack into business emails. They'll hack into business accounts or websites, and they'll try to fool you into wiring money, but don't do it. So what do you do to spot and avoid the fake email scams? A big thing is never wire money to anyone who emails or calls you. First, check it out. And if it's a company whose name you recognize, contact that company through a number or email account that you know to be correct. Please don't ever use the phone numbers or links in the email, because that's the scammer information. And don't open email attachments, often even from someone you know, unless you're expecting it, because scammers can imitate legitimate email addresses, and opening attachments can put malware on your computer. But if you unfortunately already wired money through your bank, ask them right away, immediately, for a wire recall. If you use money transfer services like Western Union or MoneyGram, call their complaint lines immediately. Maybe they can help. A big cyber threat is ransomware. It's one of the most serious online threats facing businesses and nonprofits today. And the incidents have skyrocketed with recent WannaCry and WannaCrypt attacks on worldwide healthcare organizations and other businesses. Ransomware is malicious software or malware. It infiltrates computer system networks to hold data hostage through encryption and deny access of companies to their data until the victim pays a ransom. You should know that the ransom is often requested in Bitcoin. That's one way that the scammers can prevent the money from ever coming back to the legitimate business. So, what kind of risks are associated with ransomware? One, business disruption. It could even end up shutting down a business entirely. And sometimes when a scammer gets access to a business's network, there can be harm and identity theft to customers and employees whose personal data is hacked. Also, sometimes a business's inability to maintain day-to-day operations may cause individuals to be denied critical health care services when it happens, for example, to a hospital or an HMO. And that happened in the recent international ransomware attacks. So you may want to know how ransomware is delivered. Well, according to an FTC workshop on ransomware last year, a panelist found that 91% of all ransomware arrives through email phishing campaigns. That's really significant. Here, an employee may click on a link or download a malicious attachment, causing the ransomware attack. But ransomware can also occur when someone visits a malicious website or a site that was compromised. There's such a thing as malvertising campaigns. That's malicious code hidden in an online ad, and that malicious code infects the user's computers. And attackers also have recently delivered ransomware in the WannaCry and WannaCrypt attacks by locating networks that never patched their known vulnerabilities. So it's really, really important to do your security updates. So how else can you defend your enterprise against ransomware threats? Well, a big one, train your employees to exercise online caution, not to click on phishing emails or unknown attachments. Make sure you evaluate the computers and devices connected to networks to identify any possible exposure to malware. Identify technical measures to mitigate risks. Those technical measures include email authentication, intrusion prevention software, endpoint security products, and web browser protection. And keep your security current. Again, make sure you update and patch third-party software to eliminate vulnerabilities. But above all, most important, backup data early, often, and routinely. Backups are key, and the backups need to be separate from the network. And last, provide for an attack by developing and testing business continuity plans. Again, the FTC's new website, ftc.gov Small Business, provides advice to protect networks and systems and employees and customer-sensitive data. The site has videos such as protecting your business from fraud, and it also has a new article, Small Business Security Basics. This has step-by-step information for enterprises to protect files, train employees about thinking twice before sharing the enterprise's account information and keeping wireless networks protected. And it instructs on what to do if the enterprise's system is hacked. I'm now going to
Robin, if I could just interject before you go on. I just want to mention briefly that BBB also has a website with cybersecurity information at bbb.org/cybersecurity, and we'll give that URL at the end. Thanks.
Thank you, Lou. Oh. Thank you,
Luana.
So you've all heard of government imposter scams. I don't know anyone who could have missed those IRS calls threatening people that they'd be arrested if they don't pay the IRS immediately using an iTunes card. Well, there are similar scams where the scammers pretend to be Medicare and even the FTC, asking consumers for money. Well, imposters also target small businesses and nonprofits, saying that the business or nonprofit needs to pay money or purchase items to comply with the law. Scammers even threaten to shut down the business unless immediate payment is made. Here's the FTC's case against DNS Marketing Solutions, which was settled this year, 2017. In that case, the telemarketers called new small enterprises and claimed to be from the Occupational Safety and Compliance Administration, or another OSHA sound-alike. Here, defendants claim that the businesses was violating the law by not purchasing and displaying posters in the workplace. But OSHA, the real agency, posters can be downloaded and posted for free. The FTC settled with these defendants, banning them from misrepresenting an affiliation with OSHA or a government agency, misrepresenting that businesses had to buy their goods or services, and required those defendants to surrender their assets. Remember, we ask defendants to surrender their assets or pay huge monetary amounts so that we can ultimately provide restitution to victims. I'm now going to talk about government grant scams, something that we've been seeing a lot of recently. Here, the scammers target the small businesses and nonprofits via Facebook. They use Facebook to make it look like some friend or colleague is giving them useful information. Sometimes the free grants are advertised in classified sections of newspapers or offered via cold call. And very often they'll use official sounding names like the Federal Grants Administration. But next they'll ask for your checking account information so that they can deposit that wonderful grant directly in the business's account. Well, this is a scam, and know that government will not contact anyone via social media, call, or newspaper ad to offer a money grant. Another scam we've been seeing recently targets licensed professionals, lawyers, accountants, doctors. This is another imposter scam. These scammers send official-looking emails. They tell the recipients that their licenses will be suspended, so they can't do business unless they send past due fees immediately. And the fraudsters often insist that recipients wire money so that the money can never be recovered. Also, we've seen a variation of this scam where the fraudsters claim that a client filed a complaint against the recipient, but the complaint can be only accessed through downloading an attachment or clicking on an email link. Doing this, though, exposes that computer to malware, so don't do it. I'm now going to talk about the supply swindle. We've seen a lot of those over the years. Here, the shady telemarketers claim that they'll offer a bargain on office supplies. Instead, they overbill not the businesses or nonprofits, and they send repeated unauthorized shipments, typically. Also, they may send unauthorized invoices, hoping an inattentive or busy employee pays that without questioning. Sometimes the scammers also call to verify an existing order. This is what we call the yes scam. If they get somebody to say yes, they use that as so-called evidence that the order was authorized. Of course, that's not true. And when the business or nonprofit fails to pay, these scammers threaten lawsuits and damage credit. Liberty Supply Company was an FTC's case that was settled this year. Here, defendants deceived small business and nonprofits into buying exorbitantly priced office supplies, up to 10 times more than expected, or in larger quantities than they agreed to. Of course, the businesses complained, but then the defendants demanded hefty return shipping or restocking fees to take the product back. The FTC settlement order banned these defendants from telemarketing at all and forced these defendants to surrender their assets. The directory listing scam is another common scam targeting small businesses and nonprofits. Here, fraudsters call a small business or nonprofit to verify or confirm their listing in a business directory. They also try to use the yes scheme to try to get employees to say yes on tape, and that they use that as so-called evidence that it was authorized. And sometimes the fraudster sends an ad by mail, fax, or email with very small print saying that if you respond to the fax or the mailer, that you're agreeing to an expensive business directory listing. So make sure that you read the small print on anything that you're sent, and don't say yes to these scammer questions. More about the directory listing scam. You should know that in many of these cases, there's no listing for this business, and there's often no real business directory. Again, in this scam, when invoices are not paid, the business or nonprofit is threatened with lawsuits or damage credit. Sometimes the scammer will try to settle by getting some payment and agreeing not to further bill. But don't pay. Don't do it. If you pay anything, you're likely to get more bogus invoices, either from the same scammer or others that have bought your contact information. What do you do instead? Instead, tell these scammers you're filing a complaint with the Federal Trade Commission, the Better Business Bureau, and your state attorney general's office. File those complaints and include as much information as possible. Now, Construct Data Publishers is one such directory listing scam. These defendants were based in Slovakia, and they tricked small businesses and nonprofits into paying collectively millions of dollars to be listed in an online directory that they either didn't want to be listed in or that they thought was free. Then the defendants mailed a form saying there was a pre-existing business relationship, implying that the listing was free. But after that, they sent a bill for more than $1,700 a year. Well, after the FTC brought the case, the defendants are banned by court order from marketing business directories. And in March of this year, the FTC mailed 974 checks totaling more than $535,000 to businesses and nonprofits that lost money due to this scheme. So make sure you complain to the FTC. Another scam we've seen a lot of against small businesses and nonprofits is the URL hustle. Here, scammers threaten that the businesses and nonprofits' web addresses will expire unless they pay immediately to renew registrations. They often use fake invoices like the others, and they emphasize time is on the essence. Because they do that, sometimes businesses pay before they even investigate, but don't do it. We also know of a similar scam where fraudsters threaten small businesses that they'll lose their trademarks if they don't pay an immediate fee, or claim that businesses owe money for additional registration of trademark services. Again, don't pay. FTC against Internet Listing Service is a case involving this URL scam. Here it was also foreign defendants that threatened enterprises that unless they paid a bogus invoice, they'd lose their website addresses. After the FTC sued, the FTC got an order barring these defendants from all these kinds of false claims, including the false claim that there was a pre-existing relationship with the defendants. And they were banned from claiming that they owe the defendants money. The court also, in this case, entered money judgments against the defendants. Now, there's a scam called the check cheat. I always get messed up on that. Your business may get something that looks like a refund or rebate check. Consumers get these kind of false checks as well. If you look at the fine print on the front or the back, you'll notice that by signing and depositing this check, you're agreeing to something you may not want or need, like internet access or listing in an online directory. So be careful with these bogus checks. Charity con. Well, we all want to contribute to charities that help people like firefighters, veterans, police, or kids. But you should know that scammers impersonate legitimate charities. We know from the Legal Aid Society of Hawaii that scammers call businesses and consumers asking for contribution to a phony legal aid society. These scammers use confusingly similar names to reputable charities and may even make a victim's caller ID display a phone number or name that the scammers want. So how do you protect your business or nonprofit from these scams? Well, most importantly, train your staff to recognize these scams and, again, avoid phishing emails. Distribute the FTC's valuable booklet, Small Business Scams, to employees. Also, make sure you inspect your invoices. A purchase order system may help pay for only legitimate expenses. You may also compile a list of vendors you usually use so they can be recognized by employees. It's helpful also to designate a small number of employees with authorities to approve purchases. And know that you should never, never, never pay for products or services you're not sure you ordered. Also, verify any message that appears to be from a bank, credit card company, or government agency, and don't respond until after you've investigated. You can check out any company for free at bbb.org. You can also check out any charity at bbb.org. But please don't give your bank account information to anyone you don't know. And don't pay any money for a free government grant. You ought to know that if you have to pay for it, it's not free. Also, go to ftc.gov small business, which provides all kinds of great information on scams targeting small enterprises and tips to avoid them. So here are some common scammer tactics to avoid. The scammers always make big but seemingly plausible promises. They always ask for money or personal information up front and right away. They want your money in cash or other untraceable form. I spoke about iTunes cards or Green Dot cards. They want that money that way, so you can't ever get it back, even when government gets involved. And they want to rush you, so you don't have time to think or check it out. Just recognize these signs so you don't fall victim. Here are some other FTC resources and guides for businesses involving advertising guidance, telemarketing and do not call guidance, payments and billing advice, and privacy and data security advice. There are links that you can use. And we have special business guidance if you're developing business apps. We have a video. It's useful if you can watch that video. And we have more guidance for mobile app developers, a pamphlet, Start with Security, for mobile app developers. Data security is extremely important to the FTC. We want to help you keep your data secure, whether you have an existing business or want to start one. Security is absolutely essential. Start with Security is our website-based materials, and also we have a booklet, Start with Security. Here's a great site to data security at the ftc.gov website. This site links to Start with Security information, including all FTC cases, press releases, public events, public statements, and testimony involving security. Here are many of the FTC's videos on security. They can be accessed through the FTC website, and they're also available via YouTube. There are also FTC videos on defending against ransomware, phishing your company's good name, and the NIST cybersecurity framework and the FTC. By the way, NIST means the National Institute of Standards and Technology. I commend these videos. They're very instructive. Here's our pamphlet for businesses on protecting personal information. By the way, all of the FTC's written information can be ordered, as many copies as you want for free on our bulk order site on ftc.gov. So I want to just mention the 5 key principles of data security. Take stock. That means you should know what personal information you have in your files and on your computer. Scale down. That means keep only what you need for your business. Lock it. That means protect any of the information that you do keep. Pitch it. That means properly dispose of what you no longer need. and plan ahead. That means create a plan to respond to any security incidents. Submitting complaints helps. The FTC operates the Consumer Sentinel database. It's a complaint network where we receive complaints from the Better Business Bureaus and other law enforcement agencies. And this database is only available to law enforcement. But we need you to complain to the FTC because we use your complaints to file new cases and to develop new materials to warn other businesses and consumers of the scams. Complaints can be filed online or by phone. So here's my contact information. Here's my phone number, and here's my email address. I welcome any questions, and we'll answer more questions now after I turn to Luana.
Okay, thank you so much, Robin. I just want to highlight a few Better Business Bureau resources, and we do have one question that I see now coming up on the web. And while I'm speaking, perhaps some of our other participants might like to input additional questions. I'd just like to point out that for an easy way to find BBB consumer services in one place, you can go to bbb.org/ask and find them there. Here in our Metro New York BBB, we also have a page called BBBU that offers more or less the same information. So that's two ways to find it. We have a relatively new tool called Scam Tracker, which is a great place to both report and to search for information about scams. It's at bbb.org/scam tracker, and this is a terrific new tool with all kinds of data that we can analyze. So you can also go there to identify whether something you're seeing might be a scam that other people have reported. In addition to checking charities on bbb.org, you can go to the BBB Wise Giving Alliance website, give.org, give.org, easy to remember. And in addition to being able to search charity reports on that website, you can find tips about issues such as hurricane relief and disaster giving, most topical right now. As mentioned before, BBB has cybersecurity resources. Like those of FTC, they're based on the NIST standards for cybersecurity, and we do update this information as time moves on at bbb.org/cybersecurity. For those of you who are joining us from the Metro New York region, we have hotline numbers where you can contact us, and they're listed on the screen. So Robin, I just wanted to mention that we have a question here from, I believe it's Sandra, our participant, who is asking, does the FTC have international jurisdiction when going after bogus businesses defrauding American companies?
Well, the FTC, thank you for your question, Sandra. The FTC has an international division, and we have agreements with many foreign countries that will assist us in getting money back to consumers. So although we may not have our own jurisdiction over international entities, we frequently sue international entities, and often, for example, we get a lot of cooperation from the Canadians on bringing our cases. But we are often able to bring our actions, including foreign defendants, mainly through our international division. Does that answer your question?
Well, let's hope it does. Yes. I have another question coming up from Daniel, who is asking, how does FTC investigate and locate information and accounts for individuals or entities in other countries?
Again, we use our partners in other countries to help us do that, and we have tools to request information from foreign governments, special discovery tools that we send through foreign governments that our international division helps us do. They're up on the latest.
Okay, we have a further question from a participant who is asking whether we might be able to send the slides to participants after the webinar. And I'm going to defer that to you, Robin. With your permission, we will do
I
that.
have no objection. If it's
Great.
being
So
posted
then the answer
publicly,
is yes.
I have no objection.
Okay. Sandra says that yes, you did answer her question. And she asked further, what will it take to convince small businesses to take a proactive approach to cybersecurity?
Well, that's what we're doing here today. We're trying to convince small businesses and nonprofits to be proactive. If you just take a look at our new small business webpage, it breaks down what you have to do in a very simple manner. We even have videos that teach you what to do. So if we can just get the information out to more small businesses, which we're trying to do today and other days, I think that more small businesses will, and small nonprofits will take a more proactive approach. We certainly hope so. I'm doing my best to get the word out, and I know the Better Business Bureau is doing that too.
I'll chime in there and just say that I've noticed that sometimes folks who are not necessarily technical folks believe, oh, cybersecurity because of the name. They think, well, that's for people who are technical people. But actually, what I've been told, and Robin, tell me if you think this is true. My understanding is the most important things that you can do cost very little and should be done by non-technical people. That's things like training employees, as you mentioned, Robin, how to avoid opening phishing emails, knowing yourself about that, just educating yourself about cybersecurity issues. But so far as I know, it's phishing and human error that more often than not exposes businesses and nonprofits to cybersecurity problems. Is that a fair statement?
That is a fair statement. Also, I mean, companies like Microsoft and others send out patches and things to keep your network, and security software send out patches. Implement those patches. They don't cost anything, but they prevent ransomware attacks, because in the WannaCry, WannaCrypt attacks, they searched out vulnerable websites where they hadn't updated their security. The updates are provided for free, so that's another simple way to protect yourself.
Okay, I see another question coming up here. This is from Ashley, who's asking, does the FTC website give guidance on Privacy Shield and or the GDPR? I'm assuming that the question has to do with the European Union. Does that sound right to you, Robin?
Oh. I am honestly not familiar with GDPR.
Okay.
We have a lot of information on privacy. Lots and lots of information on privacy. You'd have to go to our website, and there's a search function, and hopefully you'll find what you need. But if you don't find what you need, I've provided my contact information. I'll get you the information you need.
All right, and then I'll just comment that historically, the Council of Better Business Bureaus has had privacy kinds of arrangements that have been international in nature. And my understanding, and I can't give details right now, is that there has been work with the Better Business Bureau system on something in that area, and you might go to the bbb.org website in the future to check on what might be coming in that area. Are there any other questions at this time? I'm looking to see if any are popping up. And just more requests. Let's see, here's one. interesting question. Will the FTC take any action in light of the Equifax data breach?
Well,
that one for you, Robin.
That's a good one because this has just happened. So even I wouldn't know whether we have started or will take action. But you should know that all of our actions, until they are announced by press release, are non-public. So I couldn't even speak to that if I did know it. And I'm telling you, I don't know it anyway. So our actions are non-public.
Okay.
So I can't reveal any investigations at the FTC.
Yes. Well, I think that at this point, even if something were going on, it would obviously be premature for you to be able to say anything as a law enforcement agency. But it certainly is an interesting question, and I'm sure we'll hear as time goes on what might unfold. I don't see any more questions at this time, so I just want to thank you, Robin, for such a fantastic presentation, and thank our participants.
By the way,
Rob,
I have one thing to add, Luana.
Go for it.
That anybody who wants to can sign up for fraud alerts, could sign up for alerts or sign up for our blogs, and we have a business blog that has lots and lots of useful information. I'm signed up myself, and it's just a great way to see what the FTC is doing and what the latest scams are.
Okay. Well, thank you once again, Robin, and I want to thank all of our participants. We greatly appreciate your attention today, and the webinar is now concluded. Thank you and have a great day.